has to be the hardest working woman in Los Angeles. I mean, aside from being just completely stunning, she's already given us one EP this year, and she just recently came out with her full-length album, Flings and Things.
Yes.
And she is here right with us. Hello, honey, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
You know what? I am doing well. I'm so glad to see you. And you know what? Let me just congratulate you on the success of Flings and Things. I know we're probably about under a month of the release of the album, and it's been highly, highly successful. I mean, it's gotten a lot of attention.
Yes, it has. It actually got a lot of streams, which is very, very amazing. And it took me back a little because, you know, sometimes when you put out things, you're not sure of how it's going to do, and you never know. So it's always nice when people can receive and relate. So
No, and you know what? Not only that, you've had a lot of supplemental singles that come from the album, and those themselves were already getting a lot of attention.
Yes.
And, right?
yes.
And not only that, I mean, okay, look, let's go through down the list. We're gonna get into the album, right? We're gonna play some selections from the album, and so, okay, here we are. We've got the EP. We have the EP.
Stages of Recovery.
Stages of Recovery.
And I just realized that that's kind of a trilogy now, because I put out, when I first started releasing music, I put out Stages of Love, Stages of Pain, and then Stages of Recovery. So someone dawned it on me like, yo, you know you put out a trilogy? I'm like, oh, wow, that's cool. Thanks.
You know what? Whoever put that point out, now that you've said it and shared it with me and shared it with us, that is 100% correct.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Because we look at the titles, right? When we look at the titles, we kind of start at one place, and we find growth, and then we have like, I don't even want to say like it's the full end of the chapter. It's almost like it's your trilogy prologue.
Yeah.
And then we get into the big story of Flings and Things. Okay, so we've got that out, right?
Yes.
Not only that, the videos, you've been putting a lot of work into the music videos as well.
Yes.
Okay, so tell you what, let's get into, was there a song, because I know there was, I do love the fact that you gave us a lot of radio friendly songs, right?
Yeah,
7
finally, right?
No, well, no, I'm not gonna say finally. As doing what I do here, I'm just excited that we have it, because that just allows me to just throw more of it out,
Right.
And I don't feel so limited. So, was there a song that you want us to start off with, or should we get into that one?
I would like to start off with well, since we're talking about music videos, I am shooting another music video November 4th. So I would like to start off with that song.
Okay, and that was, believe me if I got this right, that was What You Do, right?
Yes, featuring my girl Jazzy.
Okay, cool, because we're going to get into that, because that has actually been one of my favorite tracks from this album.
Yeah.
So we're going to get into that, everybody. This is KQBH 101.5 FM. We are coming live at you in Boyle Heights, California. We are sitting here with Honey Allure, and you know what? Right now we're going to get into What You Do.
Distraction, letting go of bad habits. You replace those actions, fill me with love and passion. You take the lead, and I listen. I never been. So time stands still, nothing matters now. It's just you and I. This love got me high. Feels like I'm in the sky. Yeah. Feels like I'm in the sky.
Part. That's how love should make you feel.
All right, everybody, we're back. This is KQBH 101.5 FM. Please just remind yourself within the East Los Angeles, Boyle Heights, and Gabriel Valley areas, you guys can catch us on the broadcast airwaves. You turn that radio to 101.5 FM and anywhere around the world, because Boyle Heights is everywhere, baby. You can catch us at lpfm.la. So you know what? Let's get back to our guest that we have here live in the studio. Let's get back to Honey Allure.
Yes.
So talk to us. What did we just listen to right there?
So that was actually What You Do, featuring my girl Jazzy. Funny story, when I first worked on this song, I worked on it at the beginning of this year, but it was like I had just got out of like a breakup last year, and you know how like sometimes you just have to get stuff out, and the song was completely different than this, like completely different lyrics, like everything.
Really?
Yeah, it was completely different, and I scrapped the song. I sent it to my ex. It scrapped the song. It was like, you know, and then when I started really getting deeper into Flings and Things, I pulled up the beat again, and I was listening to it, and I was like, I don't know if I'll be able to write something else because of, you know, what I already wrote is stuck in my head.
Yeah.
And like the power of creativity, there's no such thing as you can't like write something else. You can always like create something new to something that's already been done. So yeah, I started writing a song, and then I thought about like what would be the opposite of what you wrote. You need a distraction from her, so let's see what you can do. So I started writing the song. Then I thought like, I would want someone else to help me finish this, and I haven't like really like started my journey of like collaborating with artists. So this year I started the journey of just opening myself up and just working with other people and being able to accept, you know, criticism and things.
Yeah.
So
and you know what that is for those that are listening to the album, or maybe not have had the opportunity. If you haven't had the opportunity, why not?
Right.
Make your time. If you got to do dishes, put that on.
Exactly.
That'll definitely help you, you know, motivate you to do chores and just do anything.
Exactly.
And that was one of the things that I noticed that was different from the singles and the EP. We have about what, 2 or 3, right? Collaborations, 2.
Yeah, 2.
Right, there's 2 because I believe it was that one. And am I wrong when I say Closure?
The Balance.
Balance. Okay.
One right before that.
Before it. Okay. Okay. So now talk to us about the whole theme that you have going on and all the stories that we're telling in Flings and Things.
Okay, so it's super funny. I always tell a lot of people like I feel like I've had like a lot of flings in my life. Like I don't feel like I feel like I can't really discredit relationships I've had, because at that point in my life I might have needed it, and at that point that was love to me. But I feel like it just ended up being a fling after a while, and then it turns into things, and then you have to figure out everything. And so I started writing the project just with love in mind, and then I went to certain relationships that pivoted my life, or that really made a difference in my life, or made me different. So yeah, that's how Flings and Things originated. And then I kind of, the things part kind of, when you get deeper in the album, I start talking about just a little more than love.
Yeah.
So then the things come with like, the things come from just things that come as like adulting happens, like, you know, just trying to figure out what you're doing, but you know what you're doing, and then like money problems, and then knowing that you're gonna make it, but when is it gonna happen? So like, yeah.
And you know, one of the themes that I picked up through each song and each story that you tell, you take accountability and responsibility for the actions that you're talking about in those themes.
Yes.
And you take that affirmation of what the choices that you make. Even as you're recognizing that these are flings and things, you're also recognizing your part. And as you're recognizing your part, you're also making the wise choices to break away. There's some moments where we don't.
Yeah.
And we kind of stick to kind of what is going on in these relationships, as short as they may be, and just some of, you know, the, like you said, the money struggles. But that was one of the things that I really picked up and I really found was that the accountability. in the songs.
Yeah. I like to take accountability in my music in general because like sometimes in the moment you don't take accountability, but when we all sit down with ourselves and you know we sit in our integrity, you have to, and if you want to grow as a person or just be better. So one thing that like helps me if I didn't take accountability in front of the person or like to myself in that moment, I like to take accountability in my music, and I feel like that's the best place to do it because like you're putting it out to the world, so like it just gives a more realist vibe opposed to like just singing about like roses and daisies all the time, you know.
And that was and that right there are adult adult themes, and even, and I think I would imagine, and if I was a songwriter, storyteller, as you are, that is probably where I would actually make my accountability at the end of, because like you said, once by the time you got into the song and got into the lyrics and even the poetry that you create, it's already, because you've already sat on it, you've already thought about it, right? Okay, so what I want to do is, as much as I don't want to take a pause, we're going to get another song, but what's that thought? What's that thought?
No, I was going to say, I actually, like, the way I went about creating this album was even different, too, because I was going to put out this album in, like, July. When I finished Stages of Recovery, I think I released that in March or April. I want to say April. Yeah, April, somewhere around there. So when I put that out, I was already working on Flings and Things, and I had the songs drafted up by like May. I was in the studio recording with someone, so the songs were already done but not done because they weren't like polished how they needed to be. And so I had got word from someone like, yo, don't put it out yet, just, you know, continue perfecting it. So then I found a female engineer, and I started working with a female engineer, and I got some different people in the studio with me to help like produce certain parts of the song, and it was just a different ambiance than what I was used to, and I got to see like how it really feels to like have people behind you. So that was beautiful as well.
And so with the engineer being a female herself, do you feel that her presence and her direction with her part, do you feel that it was, because she's a woman as well, so she was able to understand maybe your themes better than maybe me as a male? Do you feel that energy was there? Or
I don't feel like in that sense per se. I feel like it was more of because people don't talk about it a lot, but sometimes in the music industry, especially as a woman, it's really hard working with men because they can't see past one thing, or they want you to do something to make music and you're only there for music, you know. So I got tired of those games in the studio, so that's why I wanted to just find a female engineer in general.
Okay.
And actually the person that told me not to put out the album yet was a male, and I was working with him, and then he crossed my boundaries. And then that's why I was like, oh, I think I should start working with a female engineer.
So in a way, she had a better understanding.
Yes.
Than, let's say, so in that
was just
regard.
More so about the music.
Yes. And then I'm sure as an engineer, you know, they got to do what they got to do within time, and then at the same time, because they really got to present you well.
Exactly.
In those albums. So you know what, we're gonna get into another song. You know what I want to get into, one that I've also been enjoying as well. We're gonna get
that is my fave.
We're gonna get, okay, you know what, let's get into that one, and we'll get into the one that I was liking. But you know what, we're gonna get into Closer right here with the Honey Allure, taken from the Flings and Things LP.
I love this song.
How are you feeling?
I feel good.
Okay. This is a really good album.
Thank you, Patrick.
You know, and I don't know, it's a really good album.
Thank you. I'm glad you like it.
Like, I'll listen to it and I'll put myself in certain, like, I've listened to this on the bus, I've listened to this doing chores, I've listened to this just making food. So when I put it on, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna put this album on. And I always find something new.
Yay!
And then it just, Honey Allure in itself fits perfect because that's exactly what it is. It's alluring.
It is.
The voice.
Yeah. Thank you.
So I don't know. It's. I just hope those that are listening to it are really just putting themselves in. And I'm just talking about everyday situations. I'm not talking about anything romantic or anything outside of that. Or, you know, I still even haven't had the romantic aspect or even like maybe the dance aspect to it. So I'm just kind of in the domestic end
Ooh,
when I
love
listen
that.
to it.
I love that.
And it's just really nice.
Thank you, B.
And I wish the person who told you to hold later, that was a smart idea. I just kind of bummer to hear that there was a boundary crossed.
Yeah, I mean, it happens though in the industry. I mean, I feel like I was just on the phone with a friend and we were talking about like a very known producer that like did some stuff to her and he tried some stuff with me, but I just didn't let it happen. And I was just like, no, I'm here to play my songs, you know? So I feel like it happens in general with women, especially when you're not like A-list yet. They feel like they can play with you because you're indie, you know?
And that's one of the struggles that I can only imagine how you and your peers, especially, you know, your female peers. Okay, we're going to come back to this one. Hey everybody, this is KQBH 101.5 FM. This is your disc jockey here, Patrick J. Martinez. We are broadcasting live off of Brooklyn Avenue Community Built Radio, and that was Closer by Honey Allure, who we have with us live in the studio. She's right across from me.
So you know, like the more because I'm still in a place of like developing, and I feel like the more you learn yourself, the more you find yourself with your music, you know. So I've been doing this this little and I'm starting to do that in like every song, and it's like my thing. It's like when I'm just, I don't know, I guess the feeling comes and then I just have to do that. So I'm noticing with the more and more that I am progressing with my music, just the little cute quirky things that are starting to become my own, you know?
Yeah, and we are seeing a lot of that coming into your own. So so we can safely say that you had your trilogy, which is kind of your introduction to you, and this could be considered maybe the coming of age album, the growing into yourself.
Yeah, I would say maybe? this was like the growing in. I wouldn't say debut. I would say more like growing into myself.
Yeah.
I feel like 2 more projects from now, I have another one in the works, and then I'm going to drop another. So the second project after the next project probably will be the debut.
It's gonna be the debut. Okay, so you say debut, I say crossover album.
Yeah. Okay, I like that better.
Right.
Period.
Right?
Crossover.
That's
Yes.
the crossover album, right? No, let's put it out there. Let's just put it out there.
Exactly. You're
Because,
right.
you know, because that's a good solid way to really go about it. And you know, and you have a good strong base.
Thank you.
Fan base behind you.
Yeah, I I'm gonna within this next year focus on where my fan base is, particularly because you know Spotify breaks down your charts of like country and how many people in this city and stuff. So I'm gonna take from like my most listened to cities, and I'm gonna maybe do like a little small tour, maybe like 4 or 5 cities, just to see what happens. So yeah.
Okay, no, that's a good logistic to work on, so that way you can pick. So with that, you know, as you bring that out, what are the cities that are you know, streaming, that are listening? What are those cities? What are your top cities?
So right now, I wish I would have looked right before I got here, because it changes often. But right now, the UK. Well, this is country wise first. Yeah. The UK, I'm really big in the UK, so that makes me happy because.
It makes sense. No, when you say that, that makes sense to me.
Oh, okay.
That makes sense to me, because I'm thinking of some of the UK artists that even I play, that I have awareness of. I can see it.
Yeah, and I want to live in the UK at some point in my life, maybe like a year or so. But yeah, the UK is really into me. Germany too.
Nice.
And then other countries as well, but not as big as UK and Germany.
Okay.
And then as far as cities, LA, Dallas, Atlanta, and Miami.
Okay, so those are stronghold cities.
Yeah,
right
those
there.
are like the cities I know.
Okay,
yeah.
And I'm glad to hear that Los Angeles is part of that 4. I don't care where we rank.
Right.
But Los Angeles.
No, Los Angeles is the top. One of the top.
Okay, good, because you know Los Angeles. Because I mean, right now as we're talking to Honey, she is one of our finest out here. One of Los Angeles' finest, and she's really putting it down. She's putting in that work. You're showing everybody what LA does, and there's a lot of crafters out here of all kinds of artistic outlets, and a lot are putting out work. I mean, even when I think of my colleagues here, they're putting in a lot of that work.
That's amazing.
You know? And speaking of our colleagues here, please, as a reminder, CMTY Live immediately follows me, and stay tuned for later in the night, because we have the OG show with Mr. OG, Opportunity Giver. He is the man to hear the conversations on independent film. And you know what? Let's do our legal ID before we get into this. This is KQBHLP, Los Angeles, California, 101.5 FM, the community service of the Boyle Heights Arts Conservatory. We are broadcasting live on your FM dial, and we're streaming at lpfm.LA. And we are just hanging out here with Honey Allure, independent R&B recording artist. And when I use the term independent recording artist, to me, that is a big compliment.
It is.
Because I love to focus on that independent lens, on that independent artist.
Because there's not enough people focusing on like independent artists, you know? It's like everyone cares about the independent artist after they made it as an independent artist, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, why not care as they're like growing into that, you know, the big person that they're already called to be.
Well, and the thing is I always bring this point up, and I always make it a point, and anytime that I could drop that nugget in, I will, because there's one thing that I'm always hearing: there's no good music. Where's all the good music? And I usually hear two. It's funny when I hear it, because I hear like an older group, like your 80s 90s group, and then I hear the group after that.
Right.
They're usually saying it, and my thing is, you're not really looking.
Exactly.
You're not really looking at all.
There's so much music like out, and so much good music, especially like now. Like, because it's a lot of artists are taking from like back in the day. Well, not taking, because everything's recycled, music in general. But a lot of artists are like sampling from like back in the day, and it's bringing back that feeling that we used to feel like the 90s. And
well, because that's what I love, because it's all the independent artists now are really using that influence, whether it came from the parent or another guardian or maybe a friend. I'm hearing, and I'm also hearing all genres across the board being utilized in a lot of the songs.
Exactly.
So when people tell me that, I'm like, you're not looking enough.
You're not.
You're not, right?
Right.
Because we're there, and the beauty is that no matter where you're streaming your music, you know, I can put Honey Allure, and then it's gonna go, oh, you like Honey? Here's like 5 other artists that you're gonna like.
Right.
So it doesn't.
I love that, and I love like because now I have a Pandora station, and it'll like play like artists that are like similar to me, and I'm like, oh, they think that nice.
Yeah.
I love that.
No, and like for me, like the one thing I like about these streaming things, like I'm like an old head sometimes because I'm like this, like the digging, and sometimes you just look at that cover and you're like, ooh, huh, all right, there's a listening station. Let me go look. It's the same thing when I'm on the streams. I'm like, thumbnail, okay.
New artists.
Yeah, and then it'll be like, oh, then there's this, and then it leads me to everything. And I think one of the coolest things nowadays is the line between listener and creator seems to be shorter now. Like, meaning I can reach you quicker than I probably would have 20 years ago.
That's true.
And that's just because of social media
and technology
and technology. So it's almost easier to get to know that artist.
It is.
You know what I mean?
It is.
So when I think of like some of the artists I liked as a youth and just growing into adulthood, you know, it was usually here, right? You know, send a letter to the fan club and get information that way,
Right.
or you know, and then it started becoming get online. But now it just seems with social media, I can really just get to that shortest line, and it's not, and I don't mean like directly like me contacting you. I'm talking more of like I see the song, I see this thumbnail, cruising, cool. Oh, and I look at the bio. Oh, her Twitter. And then I can get all that information so much faster than I could have at any time before.
Exactly.
And I think that's so when people have that argument, there's no good music. I'm like,
you ain't looking.
Exactly.
Right, or you ain't listening.
You're not listening.
Right,
Because maybe you're too stuck on maybe your old albums. But I mean,
and that's normally what it is too. Like some people are just conditioned to listening to what they're used to listening to, and then you feel like there's no good music because you bored yourself with the music that you always play. You got to give that a break. Go listen to some new music and then maybe play it, and you'll appreciate that music more.
Yeah, and there's a lot of young artists coming from all across the board with different backgrounds, cultural backgrounds, musical backgrounds. You know,
Love that.
so and it's being reflected in the music. And when I see all of that, you know, another thing that I'm seeing
What?
that a lot of artists are doing,
What?
that pop culture identity. You know what I mean? Like, I'm starting to see more things were taken from comic books, taken from movies, taken from just these other pop culture, you know,
like the anime and stuff.
Yes, and I'm seeing a lot of that being used. And me, just because, you know, I'm a big old nerd, I'm a big old dork and geek like that, so that aesthetic starts, you know,
it's cool.
It's cool for me. And then, you know, then the style of dress and everything goes along with it.
Right.
It's you're a show person. Like you're giving yourself, honey, you're giving us all those elements. You're giving us the fashions, you're giving us the music, you're giving us the videos, and you're just giving us some very good tracks.
I'm giving you that good stuff.
Yes.
Stay tuned. There's
right?
more.
There's gonna be more. And you know what? We're gonna get into some more, and we're gonna get into the opening song in the album that really gets us going here. And you know what? And this has been one of my favorites as well. Everybody, we're gonna.
You know what? Can I say something
What's
really
up?
quick before you play it?
What's up?
Maybe I'll say it after.
Okay, so you're gonna hold that thought.
It's too.
Hold
It's better to say it after.
Okay, hold that thought. Okay, we're gonna get into cruising. .LA. And you know what? Let's get back to our conversation here with Honey Allure. You had a thought before we got into cruising, so share that thought with us. What was that?
Okay, so you know, like every artist has those artist thoughts, and so when I was listening, because I listened to the album, I uploaded a private a private album on SoundCloud because I had some people from Rock Nation and different labels listening to it. And so and then they give me their criticism, then I keep working. And then when I take certain criticism, because I take what I want from criticism and apply it, and I let go of what doesn't go to me. And that's very hard to do when you're like building tough skin in the industry, to not take on everything that people are telling you, because it can be very draining. And but with hearing some of the criticism, when I after that, when I played the album and I heard Cruising, I liked the song, but for some reason I feel like I shouldn't have put it on the album.
Really? Really?
Mm-hmm.
And is that just because of you as an artist being very stickler?
I think
about
it's
it?
just, I think it was like just an artist thing. Because when when I listened to Cruising compared to the other songs, even Magic, I feel like that one could have been out of its. Yeah, that's why I remember when you said those were its first two you were playing. I'm like, oh, okay, that's fine. But it's crazy because me as an artist, I think that. But when my fans listen to those two songs, it's a completely different perspective, which is great. But for me as an artist, I just felt like that I could have maybe took more time with those two records. And I feel like the Cruising record, it was more so of, I wasn't thinking about others when I wrote it. I was more so thinking about me. And sometimes when you write music, it's great to think about you and to put your own life experiences into it, because that's essentially what music is.
Yeah.
But sometimes you have to think about the hit record, you know?
Oh, yeah,
so that's what, so after I put out the album, I was like, it's okay, I'll do better with the next one.
But then the response, because, so there's been other people that are liking Cruising and...
Yeah, on Spotify,
and
both of those songs have 5,000 or more streams. They're doing really good.
Yeah.
So
that's interesting, right, for you as an artist, because you're hearing me and you're like, what, really? Because those are the ones, you're over here debating, and I'm like, no, those kind of, I mean, the whole album is good.
And let me take that back. I wouldn't say I don't think I should have I do think Cruising belonged on the album. I don't think I should have put it first.
Got you. So you
felt
those songs could have gone later.
I could have threw them somewhere
the story,
in the album.
As the story is being told. But and there is like all of them. You don't skip over. You don't rush a song on this whole album. That's one of the cool things. And there's been a few albums that have come out within the last few weeks that I'm listening to that are you hear all the way through. And what I liked about Cruising and Magic, it just gets it's getting that tone ready.
Now I'm not gonna lie, one thing that I did, not to cut you off,
no, it's cool,
but one thing that I did love about Magic is I tell everybody I'm from Houston, but I love LA more. Everybody know that LA is home for me, but I still do have some Houston in my blood. So when I put that Chopped and Screwed at the end of Magic, I was really proud of that. I was like, oh yeah, they gonna love this one. Like,
yeah. And you know what? I guess that's just the thing, right? You never know what your listeners are gonna gravitate to, huh?
And that's the beauty of music, because like I forgot. Just for instance, I was gonna think of like a legend, but this is more recent. There's a new artist out named Glorilla. And she has a new song called Tomorrow with Cardi B, and she said she played it for a producer, and he told her like, no one's gonna listen to this, like scrap that song. And now it's on the freaking Billboard. Like, so it's when it comes to music, it's more so about just like your belief has to be just so in tune with your soul and then aligned with the universe, because when you can take the criticism and like she did going about her day and make something spectacular.
And she got people talking though.
Exactly.
She got a lot of people talking about her for whatever reason, whether it was negative or positive.
Exactly.
She's still got that attention.
Exactly.
Okay, and so
and that's one thing about it. Like where you reminded me when you said she still got that attention. I did a performance for this TV show in Malibu. I did amazing, but the judges were, the judges were. I'm trying to think of a good way to say this.
Ignorant to the fact.
Yeah, they
ignorant
were.
to the fact they weren't paying attention.
They were a bit ignorant, and they were a bit colorist, if that makes sense.
No, that makes complete sense.
It's like they judged all of the black women like weirdly. This other girl went on after me. She sung Titanium, did amazing, and they judged her like crazy. And when I saw them judge her, how they judged me, I was like, oh, it wasn't me. It's a color issue, like, and it was like going back to what I said about going back to what you said. It was just it took me back a little because I was like, it took away from the actual music and what we were there to do, and then it had like, and even the crowd was like, what? And it had me like after that performance, I was a bit like shook it up because for some days, because one of the judges told me, she said, you might look like Diana Ross, but you don't sound like her. And I looked at him like, first of all, you were better off saying Rihanna or Tiana Taylor. Those are better comparisons. I don't look anything like Diana Ross, and of course I don't sound like her. I don't want to. That's the freaking 80s and the 70s. Like, what do you mean? And it was just weird because it's like your racism is showing, dude. Is that the only black woman you could think of?
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
Yeah, it was weird. It threw me off.
Yeah, that is kind of weird to say to someone.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I do agree with you. Like, if you're gonna make that comparison,
that's you could have compared me to an artist that I actually kind of resemble.
Yeah, But yeah, that was kind of an ignorant comment. And you know what? Maybe it was good that you were able to get out of that space.
Oh, that's the point I was getting back to. So that show is gonna air. I don't know when. I know it's gonna air in November.
Okay.
But my whole thought process was, I know I did great. So whether I get good or bad exposure, I still get the exposure at your expense. Ooh. Yeah. So, and that was a big company. Like where we shot it was like Lady Gaga shot one of her music videos there. Like it was a big production.
So when that comes out in November, that can be a whole other telling different story. So that story can end up different than what occurred on that show for any one of you.
Exactly. And then my thing is, I don't want to sound like her. I sound like Honey Allure, baby.
Yes. And that's all you need to sound like.
Period.
That's all you need to be.
Period.
Right?
And different strokes for different folks.
Yes.
Okay?
But you know what? Maybe it was good that you
But sometimes we need moments like that, because sometimes we need to be knocked down a little bit to look at ourselves to see what we can do better.
You know what? I don't see that as being knocked down.
No, definitely not for that sense. But I had like experience, like it was crazy because it was like boom, 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 right before the album too. And I had an experience like a week after that with like a huge producer, and he didn't knock me down, but he was just giving me like criticism that like the next person won't give me, you know. And I sat in my room. I sat in my room for like a week. I didn't go anywhere. I didn't talk to anyone. I was barely on the phone.
Wow.
And I literally made music.
That's good.
And I made a demo to where I sent it to like 10 people, and I was like, what this sound like to you? And nobody told me it was trash. Like, well, nobody ever says my music is trash in general, but nobody could critique it.
Could say anything.
Yeah, nobody could be like, oh, exactly.
Or what they felt needed were. And you know what? At least with that particular arena, that particular show, at least you were given some insight on how judges think or how just people think. And it also gave your radar up as to what to look for and what to listen for when picking out like that, you know, because it hits you in a way. And as you tell that story, I'm with you on that one. I think that was kind of a little bit egregious right there.
Yeah, it was. Even I had a Jazzy, the girl that's on What You Do With Me, the one that's going to shoot the music video with me next week. Even she was like, that was like weird. Like, like when I got off stage, everybody was like, that was weird, I'm sorry. I was like, yeah, I'm good. No. And I just kind of like played it off like, I'm good. Yeah. And then when I got to the beach, I sat there and Jazzy was like, it's okay. Like, you know you're an artist. It's okay if you don't feel cool right now.
No, and you know what? And that's the thing that I think that, you know, like you said, you got to get that tough skin. So they're just those things that you're just going to have to, you know, bear witness to. Mm-hmm. But this is, and this is when we have these moments when we see some of our favorite artists, and especially our independent artists, and they had an impact on you. You know, this is one of the cool things about social media. This is where we can, you know, because some listeners probably picked up on that, and they could have been like, hey, you're doing good. Mm-hmm. Keep it up.
And the beauty about it is, I know that this particular show is going to bring me a lot of wave as far as fan base.
It's gonna bring you a little more notoriety. It's gonna put you now in a public view.
And she asked me, like, after I got off stage, I did another interview, and they were asking me questions. And she's like, "Are you working on anything right now?" I'm like, "Yeah, I got a project about to come out. It's called Flings and Things. Can you sing something for it?" "No, how about you just listen to it when it comes out?"
Yeah.
Then do that. And then they all looked at me like, and I'm like, "Yeah, bye."
Well, no, because, you know, no, that's because, you know, what better way to state it? You know, I've got something coming out, and what is you having to sing something from it? Like, that's almost kind of rude too. Like,
exactly.
Why would
and
you,
everyone knows
why
that that's a little rude.
It is
unless
rude.
You're like an artist singing for a label or something like that.
And even then, you shouldn't even ask that question. Mm-hmm. You know, did anyone ever ask Diana Ross that question? I would think possibly.
Maybe.
You know, we don't know.
But it was probably beneficial. There was a reason why she was singing for them.
Yeah, but you don't ask someone that, whether established or not. Exactly. Oh, you got a new album, sing something from it. I mean, come on.
It's irritating in general. I know, like, A-list artists that don't like that.
Yeah, because it's rude.
Right.
You don't ask that. You go, oh, you got something coming out. Okay,
and then my thing is, put some money right here. Like, you want me to sing something? Okay, put some money right here. That's entertainment.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing for
you. Yes. And look at, every time we hang out, these hours go by so fast.
Super fast.
So, should we get
another dang.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yes. Should we get one more song out before we get into the closing and get into a little more?
Yeah.
You want to get one more? Mm-hmm. Do you have anything that you could think that you might want us to throw on these airwaves?
Well, since the album is Flings and Things, I'm just going to give y'all a little fling story here. So, I wrote this song called Spend the Night, which is track 7, I believe. And I literally wrote it after having a one-night stand. And yeah, it's one of my faves, so I would like to hear that.
All right, everybody, this is Spend the Night with Honey Allure.
Well, technically it wasn't like a full one-night stand because I still communicate with the person. But in my head, artist-wise, I needed it to be that so I could write the song.
It could be that one, and we're going to take a listen to this one at KQBH 101.5 FM.
Period.
Yeah, this one is a definite.
Yes, the time does go by fast every time we do a radio interview.
And you know what? I can't express in words the appreciation and the gratitude that I have towards you on the fact that just that you're so willing to just donate your time with me here and just
thank you. Thank you, Patrick.
And I'd like to hope at the end of the day that I've at least established some sort of bar that others have to.
No, period.
I hope.
No, you definitely have.
All right, everybody. That was Spend the Night, taken from the Smash album, Flings and Things, by Honey Allure, who we've been chatting with this whole hour. And these hours creep up on us every time that we're together here broadcasting live off of Brooklyn Avenue in the beautiful, beautiful city of Boyle Heights, California. This is your host, disc jockey here, Patrick J. Martinez, just another geek from East LA. So, honey,
Yes.
so you were telling us that was Spend the Night was based on an experience, on a fling and a thing
Yeah.
that you had.
Yes, so Spend the Night was based on a one-night stand. Well, I wouldn't say a one-night stand. It was an experience, like you said. And, yeah, and I was just thinking because I remember the individual spent the night, and then, like, in the morning, they woke up and left. And I'm just like, wait, but we only had one night. Like, you can't stay longer. And literally, as they left, I wrote that song in 15 minutes. Literally wrote the interlude in 15 minutes, recorded it, and then demoed it out about like 4 or 5 more times on my own before going into the bigger studio and getting it like fleshed out. Shout out to Joy, my engineer, and shout out to Eric, my mixer and master. He EQs all of my levels and mixes my music. So I record with one person in LA, well, 2 people now, and then I send off to Eric in Chicago.
Okay. Because Eric knows exactly what.
Yeah, so we've been working together since my very first project. So he knows like how I like my sound, and we've kind of curated my sound together.
Oh, yeah, you do. You do have a distinct sound, and it's growing, and it's, as you said, it's growing. It's growing into itself. You're growing into it. You're starting to, like you said, you're getting more comfortable. You're doing all these little vocal accents in between, and in their natural accents, the way that they come out. And I mean, we've had Solitude. Solitude was one of the singles that came out.
Solitude was a hit.
Yes.
Literally a hit.
And then we had No Feelings was another one. But Solitude was just, whoa, man.
Yeah,
I saw
Solitude.
That.
Yeah, that really made me happy.
I was playing it. I was playing it a lot too. When that single came out, and
I would, because of how good that single did, I did see that I do have to get my feet wet more with Afro beats and different things. So I'm going to do that. Sometime next year I will release a full project with just Afro beats.
Yeah. And you know what? It's we've got a lot already where we are right now, where you are. And I say we because I'm putting you as an artist and then us as listeners who are listening and following you. You've already given us, you've established like this level of just, what am I lost the thought. But you've given us just, right? You've just given us this strong product, and we already know what we're gonna get because it's already gonna be up here, and then we already know that it's just gonna keep the bar. You gave us such a high bar.
Thank you. And
listeners.
Can I say that, like, I haven't even begun to give this earth, the world, half of the stories inside of me.
You have a lot.
Yeah, and it's crazy. I did a YouTube show the other day, and I was telling someone, like, I moved out to LA with $50 in a suitcase. It was like, write that. I'm like, I will.
That is a straight title, $50 in a suitcase.
They literally said that. They said, title the song $50 in a suitcase. Yes. And I'm going to work on that.
And I remember, because we hung out together a few times already, and I know that was one of the stories that you shared when you came out here, and the success of that. And but we also, I know we don't have time to get into it, because I want to be able to get into where we can find you, all the medias. Ew. But we also have to remind everybody, and I know we didn't break into it today, you're a poetress. You are a published poetress.
Yes.
And not only are you still telling us stories in song, you're telling a story in those words, in the poetry.
Right. And then you might as well, I can flip on something and read it real quick.
Let's see. Tell you what.
But yes, I am a published poet. I have 2 books out on Amazon. One is titled No Vacancies. It is my first baby that I released to this world. It holds all of my pain. And then another is called Painfully Beautiful, Beautifully Painful, A Trip Inside the Mind. I actually wrote this book when I went through one of my spiritual awakenings. So yeah.
You wanna end on one of the poems and then get into
Yes.
our closing.
And this is a good one. It kind of goes with like everything we're talking about. No. I'll find a different.
But no, we can definitely find that on Amazon. I don't know where I put my copy of No Vacancies. I know I have it somewhere, and I go through. And I know I know one of the times we visited, I know you were shocked at how I have the tag.
Yeah, I just think that's so beautiful. And this one actually, if you haven't read it yet, it has paintings in it.
Yes,
too,
that's
so.
paintings that you created.
Yes. Okay, I'm trying to find one that's like on kind of where I am now in life, but I don't think I'm gonna.
No, give us one that we can share on the air.
Okay.
Before we close.
Okay, I'm gonna read this one because it's my truth, and yeah, that's all I can do is live in my truth. Okay. I lost time, entangled in the fast world, money overflowing. My problems were solved. It kept me intrigued. I begged for it more and more, like a kid in a candy store. When it came to bad living, I loved the thrill. Living a life that I knew I shouldn't live. Even when it hurt, it felt so dang good. Like makeup sex, the kind where y'all just screw, but still don't have an understanding. Orgasm after orgasm until you both explode. Then you look up, and so many years have passed you by, lost in time. If your vision isn't clear, you'll lose every time.
Wow. And wow. We're gonna leave it right there. We got about a minute and 10 seconds. So tell us where we can find you.
Okay, so you can find me first off on Spotify, YouTube, any listening platform. Google me if you have to, Honey Allure. You can also find me at thehoneyallure.com. That is my official website. From there, you can find my Instagram, which is They Love Honey, not DETHEYLOV, 3 E's on the love. Honey, I'm sure you know how to spell that. And TikTok, They Love Honey. And yeah, I hope to have touched someone, spoke to someone today, and made a difference in someone's life.
And you know what you have. And now that everyone knows